Hello and welcome to The Spark. I'm Matt, and by the grace of the Nashville Public Library, I'm here to talk about the creative process and the joy of appreciating the creations of others. Thankfully, I'm not going to do it alone. Joining me today are library staff members who run tabletop role-playing game programs for the Children's Department, Haley and Beck. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Always good to see library folks, which we do all the time, I suppose, but it's always good.
It's nice to see people not from our location.
Yeah,
That's true.
for sure.
It's always like those weird, like, I'm always going to bring it back to anime. Every episode is going to come back at some point. It's always those weird crossover episodes where, like, the school across town comes in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I feel like even in just our department, we just get kind of stuck in there sometimes. So,
21 branches to choose from. Lots of new people to meet.
Exactly.
How do you explain it to the children or parents at the programs?
That is the hard part, is just figuring out how to even tell kids about it to get them to come to the program.
Yeah.
Because if their parents don't play it, then they have like no idea what it is. And so you always try to hit the stuff that kids like. Like, kids really like dragons. So you're like, do you want to play a game where you can fight dragons? And they're like, oh, that sounds really cool. Like, I could do that. And they're like, okay, here are all the rules. So just finding a way to just any little thing to get them slightly interested, and then sneaking in all the rules and then how to actually play tabletop.
Yeah.
That's second.
yeah, getting them interested is the number one thing to start with. And it helps because we have a lot of parents that come in that are like played D&D when they were kids and like still play it to this day with their friends. So they're like, hey, I want to like share this thing that I really like with my kid. And that's really cool to see because we've got a lot of parents that like come in and are very hands-on with their kids to do it too.
Sure. So to the point of people who've been playing for a long time, what are y'all's personal experiences with role-playing games, like outside of teaching other people in a professional setting?
So I've been playing role-playing games off and on since I guess I was a kid, like elementary school. Like, I'm obsessed with anime. I'm obsessed with stuff like that. And
This is a safe space.
Yeah, so I feel like it's just a natural like pipeline from like anime, manga to like role-play games and doing stuff like that, because you're like, well, I'm watching this. I could do that. And my sister's the one that really got me into it. She was super, super into D&D, and she's the one that taught me. And then it just kind of stuck.
For me, I was also like very involved in like nerd culture, still am. So pretty similar pipeline. I didn't start playing until I was introduced to it in college. I was interested in high school, but my best friend is like a huge like D&D fan, DMs all the time, and wanted to start a college game with a bunch of our friends. And except for her, it was the 3 players first time, so it was like really fun experiencing that all together. But yeah, it's been really fun. I also went to school for theater, so getting a bunch of theater kids to do roleplay is like very easy to do, and we had a lot of really fun game sessions.
Yeah, I bet.
Theater kids and D&D go together like perfectly.
That's true. Like, now that you say that, because I'm not like super into fantasy. Like, fantasy is not a genre I seek out. But I was a theater kid and I love acting. And so role playing is a big part of D&D. So it's like, I'm not into the medieval stuff, but I like role playing.
Right.
So
Yeah, because where improv relies so heavily on your group, like being comfortable with each other or like respecting where the line is, not only for like boundaries of the people involved, but also what best serves the scene or the skit. But in a role-playing game, you have that mediator built in, typically, right, with rule sets. And just to zoom back a little bit on role-playing games briefly, it is essentially, as various Tumblr users have put it, improv plus math.
yes.
Well,
Yes.
usually with a genre veneer on top, Dungeons and Dragons being archetypally high fantasy.
Yeah, I like to say that it tricked me into doing math because I was not a math kid.
Right.
So
But having that math element is really good for us because then it's a really easy way to get a program started, because you're like, what benefits does it have? Well, reading and math and problem solving. So it's like it's already got built-in stuff that we can use to promote like why we should have these programs in the library.
Right. That's something I was going to ask about. I assume any program in the library, you have to present like, here are the reasons that this is appropriate to our setting, to our patronage, and whatever audience. And the minute I thought of that question, it's like, oh, it's everything. It's math, it's reading comprehension, it's like teamwork and team building and like problem solving. It's a million different things.
It's got everything wrapped up into one nice little game, which I love. And it's really good for kids because kids, they don't like to share. They don't like working as a team. Right. They hate math. So if you can get them into this, then they can slowly start working on all of those things that they really don't like. Yeah.
Like I said, tricking them into doing this thing that they're not super into.
No, my main gig within the library is shelving, fellow Paige.
Yes.
And every time I'm shelving in the kids department and I hear kids at like the Lego block table who are actively being like, do you want help with your project or do you want input on the thing that you're building? I'm like, wow, what an incredibly mature 6-year-old. We struggle with that all the time.
Right? If we had just gone to the library more as kids, we'd be better at sharing.
So do y'all have like personal games that you're a part of right now outside of the library?
Yes, we're together. Actually in the same personal games.
You got to find who you can. And struggling is always a thing with role-playing games.
Especially in adulthood, trying to like line up your calendars with your 6 adult friends. And then, oh, we have this day 2 months in advance free. Great. We'll play D&D then.
Yeah, we did the program together, and then we both realized that our styles mesh really well. And so I was like, Beck, we should start a group outside of work too. And we actually started 2.
Yeah. We started playing the one for a while, and then our other coworkers got interested when we were trying to teach them how to play to help run some events. And then we were like, oh, maybe we should start a second group together and teach you guys how to play D&D. So now it's a whole office event almost.
So now we are playing in 2 different groups every Tuesday, and it's fantastic. I love it. And it's mostly people from the library.
And do y'all typically wind up DMing for most of those?
Actually, no.
Ooh.
So since I spend so much time DMing at work for kids, tweens, even sometimes teens, outside of work, I really just want to be a PC. I want to just play as a character. And so my sister is very, very gracious, and she blesses us with her DM skills.
Yes, she's such an amazing DM.
She really is. Shout out, Meredith.
Yes. Yeah, I've never DM'd except like a one-shot in like early college, and I did it like once, and I was like, this is a lot. But I think it'd be fun to learn it more. But I mostly just play.
Within playing, like as player characters, are there classes or like archetypes that y'all tend to sort of fall into typically?
Yes. Anyone that plays D&D will tell you that they have a preference. Usually it's the one they started with or the one that they most like can relate to. Me, I started as a paladin, and I think I'm lucky and I started with the best one because I'm like, I don't want to play with anyone else. I don't want to play as anyone else. I want to be a paladin. And I tell the kids that I teach, I'm like, this is the best class. This is the one you want to be.
The paladin propaganda is real.
It is real, but it is warranted. They are very versatile. So
yeah, especially for kids games, it's a very well-rounded character. You can kind of try a little bit of like the fighting side and the magic side.
True.
You get the best of both worlds and healing. Come on.
Yeah. I started only playing magic users for my first one. I played a bard, my first one, and it was really fun. And then I was just like, wow, magic in this system is really fun and creative, and I'm just going to stick with that forever. And I'm never going to use a sword ever. And now in our home game, I play a rogue and a fighter. Nice. So trying to branch out a little bit, but still very attached to the magic system in this game. It's so much fun.
And it's also like, because the system is so versatile, right? There's, if you want it, I feel like an implicit encouragement to explore and experiment and try new things. Even if you are playing similar archetypes over and over again, you have different subclasses that you can attempt various times. And at the same time, although D&D has many rules, most RPGs tend to have a lot of rules. I feel like, at least for me, in my more limited experience, the rules are there if you want them, right? To where you can tailor the experience. Where, like, the very first time I played, I was treating it very much like a game. And when I play video games, things of that nature, give me a big sword and I will whack everything in front of me. Like, I just war of attrition, everything. And I figured out very quickly, it's like, oh, that's not what this table and this setting makes the most fun for me, even, is to do that thing I'm used to where I treat it like a game, as opposed to thinking about who is this person? How can I have fun being this person at this table? But there are a lot of players who lean heavily into the tactics and game side of it. So it's pretty moldable.
I think so. Especially, like, I found that out by running D&D for kids.
Yeah.
Because, like, what you would play with adults, you're not going to do the same with kids. They're not going to want you, like, they need a little more hand-holding. So, like, with adults, like, there's more freedom to explore and be, like, very creative and do more role-playing. But with kids, you kind of need to have more modular. Like, you need to have more linear stuff that they can easily follow so they're not having to just come up with stuff on their own. They don't really like that. They like
Yeah.
they like
They
a
want-
little
They
guidance.
want choices.
Yes.
What have you noticed in terms of those different age groups and the way that they approach it?
So running it with kids, so the one we do here at Maine is for ages 6 to 12, but our group does kind of skew a little younger, like kind of like 7, 8 mostly. And they're just happy to be there. They are really interested in animals and the different creatures, so they really just want like a glorified like animal rescue simulator.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. And so they're all about working together, collaborating, like trying to get from point A to point B. And when I do outreach with the tweens at like a middle school, they are not on the same team. They all want to really kind of mess each other up. And they're like even if you give them a common goal, they're like, I'm going to beat you to this goal. So it kind of becomes a competition.
Right.
And so I'd say there's less teamwork and more just like, they just get really wild. They're like using it as an excuse to get kind of crazy.
I also love, especially with our younger group that we have here, kids that age have all the same great ideas that adults do for how to handle a situation, but none of the like holding back, being anxious to say it.
Right.
And it's just, you get some really funny situations that way. But it's also really nice to see like stranger kids who have never met work together and like want to like really collaborate with each other
Yeah.
and like team build with each other, even though this is the first time they've ever seen each other. It's really cool.
It's really cute.
It's so cute.
Like, I love it. I love seeing the little kids just work together and they're like, oh, we just met. We're on the same team. Okay, perfect. But then when you get the middle schoolers who have probably known each other for a while and they're on the same team and they're like, can I hit him with my sword? I'm like, that's not what D&D is about,
Hey,
but okay.
You can.
Literally, I'm like, you can, but I wouldn't recommend it.
Right.
Do you?
It's the patented DM. You can do that.
Yes. But would I?
If that's what you want.
Yeah.
See what the dice say. Are there any specific, Beck, you were describing
Yeah.
like insane situations
Oh
that,
my
that come
gosh,
up? Are
my
there any that come
favorite
to mind?
one.
Is it the bucket?
Yes.
The bucket.
My favorite one is that we had them, they came across a river, and I don't remember how many kids were in this group. It was a big one
We had,
that
like,
session.
I think we had like 8 or 9 kids
Yeah,
at
it was,
that session.
They were trying to like cross this river, and they're exploring the river trying to figure out how to get across, and then this ghost comes out of the river and is like, oh, I'm a ghost haunting the river, like trying to scare them. But then one of the kids just like really takes pity on this ghost and is like, oh, but I want to be like really nice to you and like help you figure out what's going on. And maybe you could come with us. And she was like, oh, well, I can't leave the river because, you know, I'm stuck to the river. I have to be in the water. And so the kids take a bucket, fill it with water, and are like, okay, great. Now the ghost can come with us. And so now the ghost in a bucket has been a reoccurring character.
Yep.
Yep, we had to give her a name and
Yeah.
everything. I was
Oh,
like,
I think she was supposed to be an enemy initially. They were supposed to fight her. And then they were like, no, this is our friend, the ghost in a bucket.
Yeah.
Yo.
And this is a recurring gag in all RPG discourse of like, your players will latch on to the character you never intended them to,
Yes.
and they will like introduce wrinkles that you never foresaw. But that's also a really exciting part of it, because a brief few session home game I did with my spouse and a few of our friends over lockdown. My spouse was playing a half-orc, and it was like the sort of pack-in starter pack story where there's like an abandoned town with a green dragon and a tower. It was a side quest in the like Mines of Phandelver starter pack thing, but we like plugged this into what we were doing. And my spouse playing a half-orc decided that this green dragon, who like was intended to be the boss of this encounter, who is hoarding stuff, who has ostensibly destroyed this town, she went, I don't know if we should blame you for like your nature as a green dragon in the way that I, a half-orc, am blamed for my nature for a lot of things.
Aww.
And so just roll after roll of like convincing this dragon like successfully to like, don't kill us because I like understand your situation was not a thing I was prepared for in that instance.
And that's my favorite part of D&D is
power of
that
friendship.
is the power of friendship one, but also just the very unconventional scenarios that you can come up with to solve a problem. It's like I give all props to you, Haley, for DMing because I did it once and I was like, oh, this is so much happening. Just being able to be like on the fly with everything is like you have to be prepared for anything.
Especially with kids.
Yes, especially with kids.
We had a similar thing. We had a dragon, like they were playing, I don't remember what it was, but they were in like this like ice tower. They had to climb the stairs and there was an ice dragon at the top. And several of our kids were playing as Dragonborns. So they're like, I can't fight the dragon. I won't do it.
But I am a dragon.
Literally.
But doctor.
So they became friends with this dragon and they were like, okay, come back with us. And I was like, no, we can't have this giant ice dragon follow you around.
Right. No, you love the great ideas, and then you, after the session, go, oh, logistics.
Yes.
Because like the way that the session I was describing panned out was the goal was to remove the green dragon from that zone so that the town could come back, like they could move back in. And so my spouse's half-orc character convinced the dragon, like, I will find you a new home. And so the next session was this meeting of the minds of these like really like powerful people in the region, and then this one ranger half-orc who had just wandered out of the wilderness and having very serious discussions about like, where in the world is it safe to place this green dragon that it can exist?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's intense.
It's really cool stuff.
Like, how does your DM even prepare for that? It's like, okay, we were on an adventure and now we're having like a council meeting.
Well, I was the DM.
Oh boy.
So how do you even, because like, I run into stuff like that where you're trying to get one way and then they're like, actually, we need to completely stop and go the other way. And I'm like, I need a minute to like figure this out.
Yeah, and frankly, that like campaign didn't last all that long, as they tend to do. I'd be so curious if we could poll the role-playing game public and see like what is the threshold of like number of sessions after which you just go forever. Like what what's the thing you have to crest?
That is the hard
I would love
part.
to
I
know.
was in a group for like 5 years though before. It was when I was working at Papa John's. Me and the other Papa John's delivery drivers formed a D&D group, and we would meet in the morning before we would have to go to work.
Sure.
And we played together for like 5 years, like to the point where I had my job here. Like no one was still working at Papa John's. Like some people were like security guards, some people had like their big boy jobs, you know. It was like we played forever, and the only reason we stopped is because someone moved out of town. And that's why we ended up starting our other group, because my group disbanded.
Yeah, and I haven't played since college. I graduated in 2020, and it just like we tried to do like online during the lockdown through Discord, which works great for some groups. It did not work great for ours because, of course, we're all adults with things to do. So
no, it's a very different vibe, especially depending on like what technology do each does each member of the party have at their disposal. What keeps y'all coming back personally? Like what do you get out of these experiences that makes it such a big part of your life?
So what keeps me coming back to doing it at work is that at this point, we've formed relationships with the kids and their parents. And like we can see how much they love it and how much they enjoy coming here. Like the parents always thank us like so much after they leave. They're like, thank you so much for doing this. I didn't know how to do this. Like I wanted to share it, but I didn't know how. And it's a really good feeling for parents to say that about a program that you just started because you wanted to play D&D.
Right.
And so, like, for me, it's really just turned into, like, I love these kids. And I love getting to share what I love with the kids. And also, like, giving D&D more longevity. It's like we're teaching this next generation. 20 years from now, they might still be playing. And to me, that really makes it worth it.
It's good timing too, especially with like the resurgence of D&D into mainstream media. A lot of kids are like, and parents are learning about it and like, oh, well, this looks really cool what these kids are doing on Stranger Things. And I want to learn how to do that. So it's really nice that like we can kind of be the guiding force of that. It's really cool.
Yeah. And thankfully, unlike the kids in Stranger Things, we don't have to worry about THAC0.
That's true.
True.
So in terms of, we've talked a little bit about the having to be kind of malleable when you're running a game. How do you, and earlier, Haley, you mentioned that the kids look at the rules and kind of go, how do you balance, because like rules are an option, how do you balance what you're trying to accomplish as a program where you're trying to instill certain things while also like making sure they're having fun, like the balance between the imagination and the structure?
So this is something that I just do for myself too, because I don't really care about all the rules. Like when I play, it's very loose. I pick like the core rules and the really important stuff are what I think is the important stuff. So like, is it on your character sheet?
Right.
Yes, then we should learn that. Is this something that's in like the Dungeon Master's book, page like 300 that you're probably never going to see? No, then we don't need to learn that. But if it's on the character sheet, I try to at least teach them the character sheet, everything on there, how it works. That way, if they leave my group and they go on to another group, they at least know how to do that. Because with playing with kids, you're not going to make them follow the rules to a T. But you just need them to be able to do like skill checks.
True.
And I feel like if we can master that, then that's really all I'm after.
Yeah, I feel like Haley said before, we're more focused on getting them to collaborate and do storytelling and like follow through to the goal than this very specific calculation for this. Because I mean, they're like we said, they're kids. Most kids are like, ew, math.
Yeah, we can't all be Brennan Lee Mulligan breaking out the protractor and the jump length calculator.
Oh man,
more power to him. Oh boy.
Right, like I'm in some of our groups, like my sister, when she DMs, she's like, okay, you're falling this many feet, you're gonna take this much fall damage. And I'm like, oh, okay, math. But then when I play with the kids and they're like, okay, I jump out this window, I'm like, okay, you'll do a cool roll, you won't take any damage, and let's keep going.
Roll acrobatics.
Yeah. Like do like a dex check. If they pass, cool. If they fail, I'm probably not gonna do all that math either. And I don't want to then have to explain all of that, because with kids, when you start getting into the nitty gritty, when you're just trying to apply stuff, you still have to end up explaining it to them. I'm like, do I want to take the time to explain all this really complicated stuff? Or should I just let you do something cool and then we keep it moving?
Yeah. And as with like pretty much any creative pursuit, like the end question is, what is our goal? Right? And if your goal is not to like present a challenge necessarily, or because so often D&D winds up being a puzzle, essentially. Like, what do you do with the pieces given to you? If you're just trying to do something cool or show people what's possible. It's like, I think a lot about the Dungeons & Dragons movie from a year or two ago now, Honor Among Thieves, and how pretty universally the Dungeons & Dragons community really enjoyed it, despite the fact that there are some instances where, like, well, that's not how that works at all. Like, particularly early on, I think about the druid character doing wild shape like 5 times in a row. Just like from a mouse to a bird to a cat within a 30-second span. It's like, yeah, that wouldn't work by the rules of the game, but as a way to show how this world works and how this character works and like what is possible, that was really evocative.
It was really cool. I was like, man, I wish we could do it
Yeah,
like
I know,
that.
Yeah, that movie very much felt like they sat down and played a session and then like wrote the script based on what happened, and I loved it for that.
Reportedly, that's essentially what happened.
Wow.
Like they had the script already, but they did do like a couple session zeros where the two directors were the DMs, and then the main cast played their characters
That's
just
so
to like
cool.
get into it. Yeah,
I love that.
no, the more I learn about that movie, it's very exciting. It's very
Makes me
fun.
want to watch it again.
I know, right?
A little tidbit that I haven't done yet, but next time I watch it, I want to. Evidently, the audio descriptive version, where like for the sight impaired, where like it's literally describing what's on screen in case you can't see it. The audio descriptive version of that movie was done in the style of a DM. Like,
Wow.
yeah, by a
That's
fairly
so
prominent,
well thought of.
yeah, by a fairly prominent British TV presenter. So next time I watch, I think I'll be doing that.
Yeah,
That is
same.
so cool. Like, imagine like pausing it and then trying to like play along. Like in a way, you might be able to use that as like a module. Like if
Yeah.
it's written like a DM, if you could get the transcript, you could use
That's
that.
a good idea. That's very interesting.
Would be really cool.
But yeah, that was when I DM for the first time. That was the revelatory moment of only needing as many rules as you want, and like as long as you understand the like core of an RPG system, which in the case of D&D, at least for me, is like the 6 stats. Like if you can assign whatever your player wants to do to one of the 6 stats, and then they roll a die and add that modifier, job done. That's all you need.
That's how I feel.
Yep.
If you're rolling dice and having a good time, you're playing D&D.
Yeah.
You're playing D&D.
And to that point, are there other systems that y'all have tried at all? Is there any desire from the kids you work with to try other systems?
I've played Pathfinder a little bit. I've looked into Warhammer and I think Call of Cthulhu, but I'm not super interested in them.
Yeah.
Like what keeps me coming back to D&D is just how simple it's kind of made to be compared to some of these other ones. Like I know a lot of people beef with 5th edition, but like for what it is, like it's pretty easy to understand. Like I mean, we can explain it to kids, so it
Yeah.
can't be that bad.
True.
And so I just like how simple it is and how easily accessible a lot of the information is. You don't have to have extra pieces if you don't want to. Like you don't, all you need is like a pencil and a paper and dice and you can play.
Right.
And that's what I really like about it. And some of these other systems, you need other stuff. You have to spend more money and I'm just not super into it. And the kids haven't really asked us about any other systems either.
Yeah, no, they haven't. The only other one I've played personally is Monster of the Week.
Ooh,
That one
do
is
like Monster
so good. We had a group for that in college, and we had it set on our college campus as like a monster hunting group, and it was so much fun. We didn't get to
good
finish
idea.
that campaign, but it's such a good system. You only need 2d6 and that's it.
Ooh, that's nice.
Yeah. And it's very like, okay, here you tell, like, it's more of like, oh, well, I want to roll this. It's less of I want to roll this check and more of like, okay, I'm doing this. And your DM in that system is like, okay, here's what you're rolling. I'm going to decide what you do. You're not asking me to use the specific skill. I'm going to decide what you're doing. And it very much plays like an episode of like Buffy the Vampire Slayer or like things like that. That was our big comparison that we used when we
That's
played
cool.
it.
That
It's
sounds
so much
cool.
fun.
No, those are typically the like intended reference points of
Yeah.
like you're these are episodes in a season.
Yes.
is the way that the game is formatted.
Okay.
And from listening to at least one season of people play Monster of the Week on actual play, and my spouse actually playing a game fairly recently, it's very player focused in terms of like player input,
Yes.
which is cool.
Yep.
To zoom back out a little bit, for my apologies to anyone listening who isn't overly familiar with TTRPGs, because like it's really hard for people who know this stuff to sit down and not just immediately get into it.
Yeah.
D&D is what we call a D20 system, where your primary die is a 20-sided die, whereas Monster of the Week, just referenced, is a D6 system, because that's all you need are plain old 6-sided dice. And that is the main sort of cataloging form for RPGs, is like, what is your dice system? Or in some cases, if you just like use a coin, like there are D2 systems out there.
Not for me. Not for me.
Really pushing luck with that one.
Right? I couldn't do it. I like having just a bag full of dice where you have all these different ones. I can get a handful and roll them. That's what I want.
The tactility is a huge part of it. Genuinely. It's like we've all been the player waiting for their turn, stacking their dice.
Yep.
Just to see how high you can go.
Yeah, dice are fun. There was another system that we played for One Shot in college that I think we were like, we had to use online dice rollers because we were rolling like 50 d20s at a time. I cannot remember the name for the life of me, but it was so much fun.
Man, that's the dream.
Yeah.
To roll 50 to 20.
For like damage.
Oh,
it was crazy.
So, what kind of monsters were you fighting on your college campus?
Oh gosh, a lot of ghosts. We had, this doesn't actually exist in my college town, but like we set up like there was like a butcher and like this giant like 50-foot pig man that we had to fight at one point, and
Pig man.
yeah, we did it like more skewed towards like horror.
Sure.
Because all of us in the group were really into that. But it was just fun because we got to like reference like, okay, where in this town are we? Like, okay, we're near this like donut shop in this town. That's where we're at. And everybody knows where we're at. So it's fun to like reference real life locations. And Monster of the Week as a system really like paves the way for that.
And that's always the baseline question, almost regardless of which game you're playing, except for say Warhammer where it's required, is like, are you doing minis on a table that like you're measuring distance, you have figures, or are you relying theater of the mind and doing something like a location that you're intimately familiar with?
Yes.
You can very easily do theater of the mind.
Oh, yeah. And that's what we did. I love playing with minis. I think it's really fun, like having the map out on the table. That's what we do for the kids, too. And I think the kids really enjoy it. We're not like super strict on like where they are on the map. It's just like, it's more just like fun for the experience of them seeing it.
Well, and we don't really use minis. We use little Lego minifigures. And so the kids get into that because then they can like dress them up, put a hat on there.
Yeah.
And then they move them around where I don't tell them where to move them. If they're like, okay, I want to move closer to the bad guy, I let them do that. And where they put it, then we do it in relation to that.
Sure.
So it gives the kids a little more agency and it allows them to kind of create the scene instead of me just being like, okay, you're 20 feet away from this guy. And they're like, I want us 20 feet. Like, I let them move it, and then they see how far away they are, and then everything they do after that, they've set it up. So, I think that works.
Yeah, it works right for them.
Spatial reasoning. Check off another one on the benefits box.
Exactly.
So, taking at least a sidestep away from RPGs for a second, are there particular other kinds of media that y'all gravitate toward, and do those kinds of media influence what you bring to your games? Because this is always, I feel like, with most DMs, the thing of like, here's my campaign that is like Frankenstein from the last 10 books I've read.
Yep.
So I used to kind of do stuff like that. Like if I read like a really cool book and there was like a really good twist, I would try to incorporate that. But like with the kids, they give me so much to work with that I don't really have to come up with anything on my own. Like even when they're just talking to each other, like I try to write stuff down because they are little geniuses. Like anyone who has not just sat and talked with a kid like that, like they will give you so much content and so much to work with that you don't really need to do anything. But I did play this one D&D campaign that my friend was homebrewing, and he took like the plot of an anime and then like turned it into a homebrew, like One Piece, like you go island to island. Yeah. So it was kind of based off that, and that was really cool. So I would do something like that.
Yeah, that would be really fun. I don't know. I'm definitely like a huge like video game person. I just like, that's where like I shifted into like tabletop RPGs because I was already playing games like Fallout that were like based on RPG systems. So it was like a very easy transition to like, oh, well, we can do this in real life. Great. But I've seen like people adapt like other forms of media. And it's really fun, especially when the group doesn't know that it's an adaptation. My best friend DM'd a one-shot for us in college that was based off of Shrek, and she didn't tell us that it was based off of Shrek.
That is so cool. Wait,
and there were just like, there was like just like clue, like she was like really vague about it, and there were just like clues of like, oh, there might be this moment in Shrek happening? Oh, I'm a princess that turns into a monster.
I
That's
assume
horrible.
I assume it was like sufficiently tone shifted.
Yes.
It's like explain the movie
and
badly.
then towards
type
the end,
thing.
we were like, wait, is this Shrek?
It took you to the end to figure that out. That's
She was
hilarious.
great. She's such a great DM.
Very good.
But yeah, that goes to show how good of a DM it was that you didn't even know that it was essentially not an original idea.
Yeah.
Like she made it so good that it seemed
Yeah.
original.
Oh yeah, totally. So even if you don't like the book like campaigns that D&D releases, you can just take your favorite movie and turn it into one.
Yeah, just homebrew. Homebrew is one of the best things to ever come to D&D,
Yes.
honestly. Like, to not be so rigid with the modules, because not everyone has access to those.
It definitely makes it way more accessible. Where you can just, instead of spending like a ton of money on the books, you can just like come up with this idea and you can have like pencil and paper theater of the mind stuff with online dice rollers and it's completely free. So that's another thing I really like about D&D is how accessible of a media it is.
And to that point of like encouraging doing your own thing, at a certain point, as we were describing earlier, you're going to have to do your own thing because of what your players are going to do. Like that you won't be able to stick to the module unless you're like unless you're going full railroad, and sometimes that's in itself an enjoyable experience. But I think the other encouragement to do your own stuff to a certain degree is that although they've been trying to push away from that recently, historically D&D tends to tell certain kinds of stories about certain kinds of characters.
Right.
Like I'm thinking of, what was it, Radiant Citadel? It was a source book a couple years ago that was like a level 1 to 5 source book of adventures that are not go kill things. It's like, we're doing something different.
Like, well, that's cool, but we like to kill stuff.
It's a very combat-focused game.
Yeah. As much as you try to make it not be, at the end of the day, that's like half the mechanics. So.
I mean, that's what gets the kids into it,
Yeah.
because they're like, oh, I can get all these weapons. Oh, I can set out and fight stuff. That's cool.
Yeah, every time we stop in town, they're like, I want to buy this and this and this, and now I have this whole armory to myself.
And so if you try to go with the rules where it's like you can only carry this much stuff, then that's going to limit the kids to like, oh, well, I can only have 2 weapons. And then you have to explain, well, it's this times whatever your class is times your weight, like your strength, I think. It's like your strength.
I think we
and-
take a very like yes and approach with this for sure, especially with kids.
Well, even with the tweens. Well,
Yeah.
and like even in the group we play, like it's not like our DM's going to be like, well, I see you're already carrying 50 pounds of stuff. This will be too much. You can't like that kind of takes away the fun of it because like you're playing this fantasy game. It's like, why can I not carry 100 pounds of stuff?
Right.
Why can I not carry 100 pounds of stuff when I'm literally a dragon?
Right?
Yeah, and it comes back to the improv analogy, like as you said, Beck, yes-handing, of like what makes sense for your group? What makes sense in this instance? Is this fair play for the people at the table?
I think that's really important. Like whoever you're playing with they're setting the tone, they're setting the vibe, and if the vibe is not good, then the group is not going to last.
Yeah.
And so it's the DM's job to really make sure the vibe is good and to keep the vibe good.
Yeah, especially for our program. At the end of the day, we just want them to like have a good time.
Yeah.
That's the end of it.
Yeah, we want them to come to the library.
Yeah.
And if this is what it takes, let's do it.
So are there any actual plays that y'all watch or listen to? And maybe like more difficult question, are there any of them that you can recommend to the kids?
So most of the ones I watch the Dungeons and Drag Queens,
Oh, nice.
which is really good. I don't think I could recommend that to the kids
Right
because all the swearing, I think. And most of the ones that I end up watching have a lot of like swearing because it's adults doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess I can shamelessly plug our D&D podcast that we're starting here, Overdue Adventures. That one will be library friendly, family friendly.
Excellent.
So when that's airing, I recommend people watch and listen to that one.
And will that appear as a library audio podcast?
Yes, it'll be available in audio format and in video format. You'll get to actually see us playing, which is really cool.
Also not kid friendly necessarily. But there's a really great group that I follow called Hyper RPG that does they also do like video production stuff as well, but they do live streams on Twitch of different like one shots. They did one of the system 10 Candles, which is a horror system, and they based it off the movie Midsummer.
Oh, wow.
And it was really well done. My favorite one that they do is, I think it's ended now, but they're trying to get funding for another season, is they made their own system based off of the system Kids on Bikes.
Yeah.
And they set it about this like town in the Pacific Northwest where like kids start getting powers. It's called Kollok, Kollok, and it like started as like, oh, these kids in this town get this supernatural powers, and then it dumps into like time travel, and they do like some like huge live stream events with like other creators that come in to like play certain characters, and it's like this really well done like sci-fi supernatural series.
Neat.
But they do great work and have been like inspired me a lot. So I highly recommend them. They are so underrated.
I think because of taking back to improv similarity again a little bit, where in improv you kind of have your group, know your group, and people who are very good at improv can slot themselves into another group and get the vibe. But the great thing about RPGs is that like you have the boundaries generally set by either a core mechanic or a rule set or what have you. But I feel like for anyone doing any creative pursuit, and like tabletop role-playing games are inherently creative. Like, right, you are making choices that in a world that does not exist. Comparing notes with people who play differently than you, who create differently than you, is always going to be like very fulfilling and inspiring. And the fact that you can jump into different groups and different games by just understanding the core mechanics allows that a lot. Like, I think about an instance where Dimension 20, where it was one of the first games that Abria Iyengar had DM'd for that group, and Brandon Lee Mulligan, their typical DM, was in that group. And Abria did one of her hallmarks, which is, people rolled a perception or investigation or what have you, didn't roll enough to get the thing that they would want to know. And this is particularly a useful skill, like actual play where you have an audience. She says, okay, here's what you see. And then she says, here's what you don't see. And that lets like the player, it's a trust in your players that they will not metagame that knowledge, that it's just there for them as being split between a player enjoying the story that's being told and the inherent tension created by knowing that there's something you don't know.
Yeah.
And being a player who's acting on your own knowledge. And Brennan was befuddled by that idea of like, you can do that?
Yes. I love when people do that. John McFarlane does that a lot. They run, or I don't know if they still run, the Let's Play, but John is in our Overdue Adventures podcast, and they do that all the time where it's like, this is what you see, this is what you don't see. Yeah. And every time I'm like, that is so cool, and I want to steal it, but I know I wouldn't be able to do it like they do. You know,
maybe with our home group, maybe not with the kids.
Right, like test it out.
Kids would definitely metagame that.
That's true. You got to know your group. You got to know your audience.
Yeah, kids will for sure metagame. If they had phones, they would be looking up everything as you're playing. So glad that they don't do that.
But yeah, one of the questions I had coming in, which we've answered in a couple different ways now, is I feel like a lot of the appeal for tabletop role-playing games is, whether consciously or subconsciously, allowing adults or even upper teens to enter a very childlike space of imagination with enough of training wheels on it that it doesn't feel, quote-unquote, childish. And I wondered how that would hit for kids in terms of, like, they don't need the training wheels. But obviously, because it's an experience that you make, it's just follow your own fun.
Follow your heart. Follow what the group is yelling at you to do. And like kids, they don't have those boundaries. They're already in that kind of childlike wonder. They're already there. And so we're just there to like nurture it and let it out in a safe space so that they can go crazy and go on all these super cool adventures.
Yeah. And anyone listening who hasn't done any of this stuff, if it sounds cool, you should try it, because there are infinite different systems and genres to play within those systems. You mentioned the Kids on Bike system that's been amended in various different ways, and Monster of the Week is powered by the Apocalypse system, where that the family tree of RPGs is such that you will find a branch to hang off of.
Yeah, if you think there's not an RPG out there for you, you're just not looking hard
Yeah,
enough
I
because
was
there's
about
one
to
for
say-
everybody.
Yeah, if you can think of it, there's probably a system
Yeah.
for it, or a one shot that somebody's written and posted somewhere.
Oh yeah,
Or you could make your own.
absolutely.
Like I know someone who's working on his own system, and it sounds really cool. I'm not gonna say anything until it comes, but it sounds really cool. And it's like he's making it himself. He had some beef with D&D, and he's like, I'm gonna make something that I don't have any beef with, and it's amazing. So it's like you can always create your own.
Yeah.
Take home brewing to the next level.
Yeah, it just as like a concept just allows for like limitless creativity and like I know we keep talking about like things that bring us back to it. That's another thing that brings you back because you can literally do whatever you want.
And be whoever you want.
Yeah. Like it is, I always think about fiction in general as kind of an empathy generator. And role-playing games are that on steroids because
Yeah.
you have the ability to be anyone and see how would they feel about this situation.
It's just so cool. It's so fun.
And if anyone wants to go to any D&D programming, because there are multiple branches that do it in addition to the main library, you can always head to events.library.nashville.org
Yes.
and sort for games or whatever you're interested in.
I do believe that we are the only ones that are running it for kids currently. So,
I think so.
yeah, that's very exciting.
It's
so,
Prove us wrong,
If you
branches.
you have a kid, you can find us third Saturdays at the main children's from 1 to 3. Yes, 1 to 3.
And there are, to that point, there are multiple branches and main that do teen programming for D&D.
And some do adult, but I think as far as kids, it's just me and Beck.
Yeah.
So you'll have to come see us if you want your kid to play.
Thanks for joining me, y'all. It's very good to talk D&D for a while.
Yes, thanks for
Very
having
fun.
us.
And thank you all for listening. We appreciate it as always. And of course, this podcast wouldn't exist without the Nashville Public Library. So whether you're in Nashville or beyond, find your public library, get a library card, and use it, because the best way to support the library is to let the library support you in all the many, many ways that they can do that. I bet some of them will surprise you. And with that, thank you very much.